So I'm off to build a little boardwalk trail through the woods, and since these boards are wider than the tractor, they would absolutely not go down the trail. So I made a little holder-upper so I could put them long ways and not scratch up Colin's gas tank paint. And I also wanted to use a lot of the scrap lumber that I had laying around. And by the time I call lumber scrap, it's usually pretty bad. But we made do with what we had. I had to buy a couple of boards, but only a couple. So I've been working on this little walkway trail. This is came here twice. This is 2 days worth of work. I am out of salvage boards. So I went and bought 4 12-foot 5/4 by 6 and cut them up 2 feet long. So I think I'll have enough to go to there, and I can make my framing go a little farther. But that's my goal for the day. I just can't work in this heat for 8 hours a day like I used to, but I can get a couple of good hours in. We'll see how far we can go. So the point of this is to access some really cool areas with some huge trees that weren't logged apparently 30 years ago when the other trees were logged. But to get to it, you had to go through this really wet area, and it was wet in the summer, so I can just imagine in the wintertime it probably has standing water. So I want to build a little walkway over it. It's a walking trail, not a four-wheeler trail. And the kids are now kind of into bicycles, so I think I might, there's one tree that would keep a bicycle from going down the trail. I think I might cut it and just letting them use it like a bicycle trail. Pretty elementary construction here. I put a pair of 2x6s on the ground, roughly the same length, to determine where I needed the support for the end. And then I had some 4x4 fence posts from David's yard. And I would just lay them sideways, move it around until it would sit kind of flat. No tape measures or 4-foot levels were used in this project. I just winged it by eye, and yeah, it came out okay. Just a walkway through the woods. Here I went from going uphill to going downhill, so those 2x6s were kind of sticking up. I just kind of butchered them down with the chainsaw and the hammer, so that we wouldn't have a bump in the steps, no tripping hazard. And this was summertime. It was excruciatingly hot. Every day for 3 weeks we hit 100 degrees, 105 degrees. I thought it would be cooler up in the woods in the shade, and I guess it was a little bit, but it was still pretty doggone hot. Kind of limited the number of hours that I could be productive. I thought it would be cooler when I went to the river to get the gravel, but it's just as hot almost down there. This is the fun part. It feels like you're really doing something. Driving these little galvanized box nails into this soft wood. Yeah, you feel like you're a nailing pro. And right after I bought those new deck boards, I came across a few used ones on the street. But anyway, it's kind of the way it goes. So nailed it all out, and I went until the ground got a little higher where I could transition from an elevated walkway to just spreading some gravel on the ground, so it wouldn't be I don't think it's mushy, but it would definitely be dry even during the rainy times to walk on gravel instead of the dirt, the mud, the existing in situ material. I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm going to try to go down there and get some gravel from the river and put them in the buckets and put it in this bucket and bring it to my trail. Took off my good shoes, put on my old shoes. Can you tell the difference? I can. Yeah, let's see how this works. So this is our river, and it's a sandy, gravelly bottom. And what tends to happen is the water washes the sand from the gravel, so on the surface of the bottom, it's pretty gravelly. I was trying to scoop up as much just gravel as I can without getting a lot of sand, because I don't think the sand would stay put. But I would fill up a bucket and then go shoring another bucket and carry 2 buckets up the steps, which was like doing deep knee squats with 50 pounds in each hand. And if it wasn't 100 degrees in the shade, it probably would have been a little easier. But anyway, I did about 10 buckets carried them up the steps and dumped them in the tractor bucket. And I can carry them to the top of the boardwalk trail in the tractor in the bucket. I think most steps have a 7 or 7.5 inch rise. I don't think we were code compliant here.
Well, I don't know if you can see with the shadows. I was hoping to get a little more than this, but I'm done. It's too hot. Can't breathe. So I'm gonna go with what we got. We gotta save something to do tomorrow or next week. My gravel will be there. It's pretty patient. I made this little box a while back. It's got a screen door. It's hanging on a tree. And it's for wet shoes. It's down here by the river. So you can always grab a pair of old shoes and go for a wade. Let's start this thing up, get the AC going. I'm here this morning to get another load of gravel. It's been a couple weeks. Current's quite a bit quicker because we've had some rain, but it's cooler, so maybe I'll last a little longer and we'll get a few more buckets before I wear out from going up and down these steps with buckets of rocks. Pretty, yeah, it's like pretty good exercise for something. So I'm sitting on a road and I'm getting ready to ride down the other trail to show you the boardwalk trail. I'm going to try to hold my camera while I drive. I don't know if this is going to work. All right, here we go. This is hard. Hard driving with one hand. It's hard holding the camera still. I'll probably end up throwing away this video footage. Who knows? This is my favorite trail because it's mostly grass. The other trails, the ones I had to dig ditches by, they're mostly dirt so far. They haven't grown. Whoa! The grass hasn't grown yet on the other trails. Okay, so the other trail turns to the left, the trail I'm on. So we're going to go straight to the boardwalk trail. If we keep going straight too far, we're going to get stuck big time, because that's where I got my friend David's tractor stuck summer before last, and I like to never got it out. Oh, where's the brake? There we go. Okay, yeah, straight ahead is a drainage swamp, super soft, and I took David's Traco through there because I didn't know any better, and I sank out of sight, and it took me 4 days to get it out, so we don't go that way anymore. All right, here we go. Now, I did this last summer, and this is winter, so this was finished like 6 months ago, I guess. I just never have showed it. I don't know if anybody's going to be interested, but I think it's kind of cool. Most people like it. So right here is where I put all the gravel from the river. You can't see it now. It's covered with leaves, but it makes this a much better walking surface. And the gravel ends about right here, because we go up a little bit and everything got real dry. So now we're going through some area that for some unknown reason wasn't clear cut when they cut this back part 30 years ago, because these trees are way older than 30 years. And I don't know how to identify them very well. Except this one right here is what they call a swamp white oak, but I think that's not the real name. That's a pine tree. It's a big old tree. A big old tree for South Louisiana. Our trees don't get quite as big as some places where they have just huge trees. There's a huge pine tree. So this is just a walking trail. Can't get four-wheeler on it, or really a bicycle, because that Boardwalk trail gets too skinny to get handlebars through, but I could cut that without much problem. There's a big one. I think that's just a water oak. I think. Yeah, same here. I think that's a water oak. Which are not like the most desirable trees in the world, because the nickname is they kind of grow for 50 years and then they die for 50 years. They get big and then they get sick and start dropping branches. So now we're in the power line servitude, but we're on a spot part of it where it's high in elevation. It's not muddy. We're gonna walk under the power lines and go back into the woods. Now this part of the woods we're getting ready to go in was clear cut. For some reason, there is a absolutely huge pine tree that's still standing. I'm not sure why. So it comes out on this little hill. Got this little pond around it. And this tree is it's the biggest one on the property. I sure hope the little bugs don't get in it and kill it. I'm not sure what kind of pine tree it is, but I'm not sure it's a loblolly like all the other ones. It may be a shortleaf pine, but I really don't know how to identify them. And this is the little pond, and we have water running because we had some rain, some pretty heavy rain. Now we're gonna keep on going on the rest of the trail. I put a pipe right here. It is very short, but it's good enough to walk on. It's ductile iron. I needed some dirt in here, but I couldn't find any. Everywhere I scraped was just roots. So maybe one day we'll come in with a wheelbarrow with some dirt. And the trail continues. Now we're walking through a bunch of big popcorn trees. And I've cut a bunch of them down. And I've hacked on a bunch of them and put the poison in them. So now it's kind of confusing. This bark here looks just like popcorn fruit, but the way it flares out at the bottom, at the base, in this wet dirt, it is not a popcorn tree. I don't know what it is. And this one here, same kind of bark, but it doesn't flare out. Popcorn trees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're all gonna die. I put this pipe in here. This is another ductile iron pipe. This one would be almost wide enough to ride a four-wheeler on. I tried to cross it with the riding mower and I fell off, and it took me forever to get unstuck. Got some river birches. They always grow crooked. I don't know why. This popcorn tree is gonna die. Here's another river birch with the peely bark. The pretty peely bark. So I'm gonna guess these trees are all about 30 years old, because that's when this was logged. And we'll come back out on the road, but we're on the other side of the power lines. So I gotta walk back and get my four-wheeler. It's a pretty good little walk, but it's okay. It's a beautiful day. I'm gonna walk over here and check on my fire that I made this morning. And the fire's doing fine. I wish I'd have brought my gloves out. I tried to throw some of these that are on the edge up in the middle, but it's kind of hot. Just have to do what it's gonna do.